Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Annabelle, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my journey on what it was like to live in America for more than 7 years. Before we get started, if you would like to like this video, subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell notification thing, that would be very great. Awesome, thank you. Okay, let's get started. So I guess a little backstory. I was born and raised in the wonderful country of New Zealand. I lived in Dunedin for most of my life. It was a great town. I loved it. If you ever get the chance to go to New Zealand, I highly recommend going to Dunedin because it is great. When I was 13, my mum was on sabbatical from her work, and so my parents and I went to the USA for 6 weeks. And I fell in love with it. We primarily spent most of our time in Colorado because that's where Mum was kind of doing her research, in Denver and Loveland, and we spent some time in Boulder, which was amazing. I was 13 and I just loved it. I loved Colorado. I loved being in America, and we were able to do some travel as well. I was able to go to Disneyland and Universal Studios.
Annabelle? Annabelle?
We went to New York City, and New York City has my heart. We were there the week before Christmas. That week was amazing to me. Because it was Christmas and I loved it. There were lights everywhere, music everywhere, all the stores were dressed up, and the Rockefeller tree, and it was literally like being in Home Alone 2, which is one of my most favorite Christmas movies of all time. It was just, I loved it. And then also that week, my mum and I went to go see the Broadway musical Hairspray, and it was the best thing. It was just so full of life, and it was bold, there was color, the music, the dancing, all of it. It's not anything that I experienced in New Zealand because New Zealand just doesn't have things to that scale. It's too small of a country to have the wow factor, America has the wow factor, and I loved it. I love everything about America. I loved the big city life. I loved how everything was cheap. I loved how the malls stayed open really late. In New Zealand, they close really early, and restaurants and cafes in New Zealand close really early too, which I don't understand. Sometimes at literally 3 o'clock. I just loved the big city life. It just felt like America was full of opportunity. It was full of things to do. It was full of people to meet. There was so much to explore, so much diversity in what was on offer. And that was just, the expanse of that, the magic of that was just something I just didn't experience in New Zealand because everything is just kind of the same and kind of chill. And I just wanted something more. Yeah, from that trip, I knew that one day I wanted to live there. I specifically wanted to live in New York City because of how magical my Christmas experience was. But America in general, I loved it. So in high school, I became more and more obsessed, and I remember when the TV show Gossip Girl came out, and it just kind of cemented in my brain how much I loved New York City and how much I wanted to move there. Gossip Girl was one of my most favorite TV shows for a solid 2 years probably. But yeah, it didn't end up just being Gossip Girl, you know, like I loved all things Disney. Like my parents will tell you, like I was weirdly obsessed with Hannah Montana, and I was kind of like at the older age group for that because the Disney stars are the same age as me, you know, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, Cole and Dylan Sprouse, like I'm the same age as them. And so it was kind of like all my friends were like, that's for children, and I was like, that's really cool. Yeah, but I really wanted to become the next Disney TV star. But coming from Dunedin in New Zealand, that was not really that possible because A, there is no like film or TV things going on in Dunedin. You'd have to go to at least Auckland to even like audition for things like that. But New Zealand itself just doesn't have the same film and TV opportunities that the USA would have. But yeah, in high school I tried to figure out how can I move to America? And so I looked hugely into doing like a high school exchange, but that was really expensive, so that wasn't an opportunity. And the wanting to be on a TV show, that wasn't an opportunity for me either. So I just kind of let it go until university. So I started off my university career at the University of Otago in Dunedin because that's where I lived and it was the easiest option. But my major was, I was a music major, and I grew up playing instruments. I played piano and guitar, and I took some music classes in high school, but like I wasn't very musical. Like I wasn't obsessed with being musical, and I didn't sing. But at the time, the biggest reason for me to pick music as a major was so that I could get into the film and TV industry. Towards the end of high school, I literally became obsessed with the TV show One Tree Hill. Like, I would fake being sick so I could stay home and watch it all day. That's how obsessed I was. Sorry, Mom. But one of the things that I loved about it so much was the music that they played on that show. Like, that was the only music I listened to, was if that was on the soundtrack for the TV show, I would find it, I would download it, I would listen to it all the time. That was my life. I was like, wait, that's a job that somebody does, is pick the music for the TV show. So I researched it, figured out it was called a music supervisor, and I was like, I want to do that. Well, here's the thing, New Zealand doesn't have any programs or any way to do music supervision, and so as like a qualification, and so I was like, well, I guess the next best thing is just to do a Bachelor of Music and then see if it kind of leads to something from there. So that's primarily the reason I took music, even though I wasn't very good at it. But I did compose some songs, and you're now listening to them. Okay, that's enough. For my first year of university, I also wanted to do the university exchange, and Otago University had a variety of different partners colleges in America that they did exchanges with, but I was primarily looking at ones that was close to New York City because that's where I wanted to be, but they didn't have one for New York City, and was close to where One Tree Hill was filmed, which is in North Carolina. And I did happen to know some people who had done the opposite exchange, so who were from America and had come to New Zealand to study here. And they'd come from the University of Richmond in Virginia. And so I inquired into that. I applied, I was accepted, and I was planning on doing that. I was going to go to the University of Richmond. But then, for a variety of different personal and financial reasons, I decided to kind of hold off on that opportunity, and I was going to save it for later. And then, in my second semester of my first year of college, I got very depressed and sad and was anxious and threw up almost every day. And so I dropped out. I didn't like my major anymore. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. And so I dropped out and took a gap year. In my gap year, I worked at a movie theater full time, which I loved. Actually, working at a movie theater is one of the funnest jobs I've ever had. Anyway, so amidst all of that, dropping out of university, I was really depressed, not sure what to do with my life. I knew that I still loved America. And so I decided that I was going to apply for a summer camp program, kind of like, it's basically Camp America, except I went through a different program anyway, but Camp America. And so with that program, you, once you've applied and you've paid your fees and all that stuff, your application gets sent to many different summer camp directors or recruiters throughout America, and they look over your application, and if they want to hire you, they reach out to you and offer you a position or offer you for an interview. So I promised myself that I was going to pick the very first camp that offered me a position. So in November of 2011, I got an email. I got my first email from a camp director, and he offered me a job on the spot for a little small camp in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. And I looked at the website, and immediately I remember being like, this is it. This is the place that I'm destined to go to. And you want to know one of the reasons why? I mean, this might be a silly reason, but it's because on their website, and they had photos of what the camp looked like, and there were so many trees. It was like the camp was in a forest, and the forest is one of my most favorite places to be. And I just loved it. It looked perfect. It looked exactly like I imagined American Summer Camp to look like. And I think my bar for American Summer Camp is the two movies. A, The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan, but B, It Takes Two with Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. That second one, that's literally my favorite movie from it as a kid. I would watch that every single day. It Takes Two by Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. Set at a summer camp. It was amazing. Anyway, so this camp was in a forest, and I was like, I gotta go. So they offered me a job on the spot. I accepted, and as a depressed 18-year-old, I was full of hope, I was excited, and I was ready for June 2012. You're probably wondering why I had the map of America on my wall. Well, I can tell you that. Because in exactly 40 days today, that is where I'm heading for 3 whole months. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. And I'm going to Ohio State. The state of Ohio. Ohio! So, I'm quite excited. My journey to Ohio in June of 2012 was long. It was like a good almost 48-hour journey. But I arrived into the Canton-Akron airport, was picked up by strangers from the camp who drove an hour through the city, through cornfields, to the middle of nowhere. And yeah, that was the start of the most life-changing next 7 years that I was about to have. So I'm going to show some footage from that first camp experience. It was a great camp. It was really, really good. It was really good for my soul. I had so much fun, I had a blast. And then there were 7 more years after that. So stay tuned, because I have a lot more to share. I want to tell you guys about what it was like to live in America and what I was doing there, and what was hard about it, what was great about it, you know, just all of it. And I can't fit that into one video, so I'm gonna be making more. So stay tuned, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn on the bell notification so that you are notified when I do share more parts to this story. Thanks for sticking along so far, and see you in the next video.